You're listening to the Steven Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Steven Tauriello Show. And now, here's Steven.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. This is going to be a quick one, something I just found. I have some audio I want to play for you. Now, this is a pollster. His name is Frank Luntz. He's a GOP pollster and communications strategist. And he was on CNN, and I can't remember the host's name. It doesn't really matter. But he had a poll that he was doing with young voters from the ages of 21 to 24, if I'm not mistaken. And then I want to go over a couple things because I think this is an important topic because I think the younger voters are in a very unique position right now because of their age. So before we move on, I'm going to go ahead and play the audio, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about it. So here is Frank Luntz on CNN talking about a poll that he did discussing democracy. All right, this is the word of the day, democracy. All right, here, check this out.
I was struck, too, you also sat down recently with some younger voters, and you talked to them specifically about democracy. I want to play those moments.
Democracy.
Is our democracy in danger of failing? Raise your hands if you say yes. Wow, I'm shocked at how many. Does anyone here, by a show of hands, think our democracy is truly strong? You got two people, that's it.
Two hands.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble. I don't know what to do about it. This is my craft. This has been my trade for the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. I've been seeing this get worse and worse. 74% of Americans now say they're mad as hell and not going to take it anymore. 83% say we're more divided than we've ever been. Even people 65 and older, old enough to remember the killing of Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, our cities burning down. They say this is the most divided it's ever been.
They're mad as hell. They're not going to take it anymore. You said, what, 74%? But why are they mad? Can they articulate why they're mad?
Yes, they believe they've been ignored, forgotten, and the worst of all, betrayed. And I'm paying attention to the words and phrases they use because the stronger the language, the greater the anger. And I've seen this and I feel this, and I'm reminding them, your children are watching, your friends are watching, and they don't care anymore because they want to own the opposition rather than change the opposition.
Or talk to the opposition. Really quickly, too, because I do want to get to one other topic with you. The younger voters who you spoke with there who see the democracy at risk, only 2 of them said that democracy is strong. Where are they? Are they mad as hell? Are they just throwing up their hands? Do they want to try to change anything?
They don't like anybody. They see Joe Biden as being too old. They see Donald Trump as being corrupt. They don't like anyone. They don't have anyone to follow. They're looking for a role model. They're looking for someone to aspire to be, and they don't see it.
This is the problem I think the Republicans are making a big mistake on. It is important that people on the right show these younger people just how corrupt Joe Biden is. I think it is incredible, just frankly shocking, how the GOP has failed on getting the message that Joe Biden is possibly the most corrupt president to ever step foot in the Oval Office. There is records, documents, receipts, photos. The man is a habitual liar, a pathological liar, and he's a corrupt politician. Donald Trump called Joe Biden a corrupt politician in the 2020 debates. This is how effective the Pravda media has been in the last decade on brainwashing the younger generations. And this is why it's so important that the GOP Republicans, to make sure that we get this message across, that they are being lied to by the media. Okay, the media is controlling the narrative, and they're very effective at it. And sometimes I feel like the people on the right, conservatives, kind of touch down on a topic and then move on really quick because there's just so much out there. And sometimes I think we need to just back up a little bit and focus on certain things. It is shocking to me that this guy, Frank Luntz, this pollster, and I know who he is, it is shocking how the young voters say that Joe Biden is too old and Donald Trump is corrupt. Are we saying that Joe Biden isn't corrupt? This is what I don't get. Yes, Joe Biden is old and he's corrupt. Okay? Nobody's saying that Donald Trump is too old. You know, the media tried doing this narrative. They tested this narrative for about 3 weeks or 4 weeks trying to say that Donald Trump was cognitively impaired. But people seen right through the BS. Same thing with the Bidenomics message that they tried. And so it is clear and obvious the media is working on behalf of the Biden administration. They want to see Joe Biden get elected. CNN, MSNBC. I rail on the media all the time because all of this is the media's fault. Why do these young voters feel like they've been betrayed? Why do they feel like nobody's listening? Because the media, in conjunction with the administrative state, are prioritizing their own interests over the interests of their people. And their number one priority is to keep and retain power. That is it. There's only one side here that is arguing on how to better this country. The other side is trying to figure out how to get all the power. And so I think it's important that we go over a couple things. To my younger listeners out there, 20 years old, 21 years old, you are in a very unique position. Because the first time you were able to vote, you were 18 years old, 19 years old, which means that would have been around 2020. And for a lot of you, based off the poll numbers, the exit polls, you probably voted for Joe Biden. The reason why you feel betrayed right now is because you have been betrayed. The reason why you feel angry right now and nobody's listening is because they are not listening. There was only one person and I'm serious about this, there's only been one president in my entire life that I actually seen getting things done on behalf of the American people. Did I ever tell you that story that I heard from Sebastian Gorka, where Donald Trump in the Oval Office had a whiteboard, a dry erase board, and he wrote down all the campaign promises, not him personally, I don't think. Had all the campaign promises on the dry erase board. And every single time that they would complete a campaign promise, whether that's through executive action or whether that was through legislation, they would mark the campaign promise off of the board. And they said whether it was a week or a month or 2 months, they went down the list marking one thing off after another. Donald Trump was working on behalf of the people. You have to look at it this way. Donald Trump did not need to be president. This is why I think it's important for people to realize that Donald Trump did not have to do this. And so you have to try and understand what his motive is. Trying to understand Donald Trump's motive, and once you get to the bottom of it, you will then figure out that this guy truly, genuinely cares about this country and the shape that it's in. He has a younger son. He has children. He has grandchildren. He is in the same predicament that we are in, except he is a multi-billionaire, a former president, but he doesn't have to do this, but he's doing it for a reason. And I can only suspect that his reasons are genuine. Or else, why else do this? Why put yourself through this disaster? And I think it's important to remind the younger voters, those of you that are listening to me right now, that you were too young to vote for Donald Trump. You were really just starting to get into politics when Donald Trump was in office. But I can promise you, when you compare and contrast the two records, the differences could not be more stark. And so I urge you to look at the records. If you feel angry and that nobody's listening, I hear you. I feel the exact same way. And in fact, a lot of people do. And that is why they elected Donald Trump in 2016. Electing Donald Trump was the biggest middle finger we could give to the people that were not listening to us and betraying us. And so that was the reasoning behind my vote. our vote. And I'm sorry, but I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that. That is the reason why we voted for Donald Trump, because he was a true outsider, and we were looking for somebody to go in there and be our bull in the china shop. But what also bothers me is the corruption part. Joe Biden, and I'm telling you, Joe Biden is one of the most corrupt presidents. And I'm not even joking. I'm not trying to be a partisan hack. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be like some pro-Donald Trump worshiper. I'm telling you because I know Joe Biden. He is a very arrogant. He's very narcissistic. He is a very bad man. He is not a good guy. Despite what he may put off, despite the image he's trying to portray, he's not a good guy. That's what makes him an effective politician, is he's a good liar. He knows how to get sympathy. He knows how to pull on the heartstrings of voters. You have to know how to do this as a politician. And that's why Donald Trump is not a politician, because he doesn't know how to pull on the heartstrings of people. And so if you are feeling as if they're not listening, I promise you, your best bet right now is Donald Trump. I am not just saying that because I like Donald Trump and I voted for him in 2016 and 2020. I used to be 21 years old too. And I used to be a Democrat. They had me feeling the exact same way that you did. 2008, I voted for Barack Obama. In 2012, I did not vote for anybody at all. And in 2016, Donald Trump came along, and I was pissed. I said, this situation that this guy has got us in, Barack Obama's who I'm talking about, this situation that these people have put this country in is unsustainable. We're working more, we're making less, they're taking more of our money, and we're getting less in return. And I was pissed off, and I said, they don't like this guy, Donald Trump. I don't know how good of a president he would make, but I'll tell you what, I know that they don't like him, and so therefore the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and I pulled that lever for Donald Trump. And I have to say, I was pretty impressed with his term. Very, very impressed. This country was once and for all heading in a good direction. Now, was it perfect? No. Could it have been better? Of course. If he wasn't getting stabbed in the back and tied up in impeachments and congressional investigations for his entire term. These people have not left Donald Trump alone for almost a decade. Think about that. This guy has had a target on his back by these people for 8 years. And he still wants to run for president? He still wants to help this country? That, ladies and gentlemen, demands some type of respect. So when he came out and he said, what the hell, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Well, folks, what do we have to lose at this point? And this goes towards the younger voters, the 20, 21-year-olds. What do you have to lose? You have everything collapsing around you. You know we're not in a good position. You see what's happening all around you. You know you want to buy a house one day, but the interest rates are insane. I do have to say, when Donald Trump was in office, the interest rates were at 2%. That's when I bought my first house. And in fact, I bought my first house before the 2020 election because I knew there was a possibility that Democrats were going to cheat and the interest rates were going to skyrocket. That's how much I knew Joe Biden was going to be a bad president. I knew everything that was going to happen. The gas prices, the interest rates, the economy, the wars. Donald Trump is our best chance at turning this country around. I know it sucks if you really don't like the guy, but he's our best chance. Joe Biden is not just old. Yes, he is an old, mumbling, bumbling idiot that has been in politics for 50 years, has contributed nothing to this country, and has accomplished nothing in 50 years. In fact, the only thing he has accomplished, which he was proud of at one point, was the 1994 crime bill, which he then apologized for when he was running in 2020 because it turned out to systematically target African Americans and incarcerate innocent Black Americans. And so he felt bad for that bill. And so when you take that away, he's done absolutely nothing. And I want to remind you, so Joe Biden is not just old and senile and an idiot, and it is clear and obvious that he's not running this country. Somebody else is running this country, and what pisses me off the most is we don't know who's running this country. But I will tell you this. This is an article from Politico. Politico is left-leaning article. This is why I read these articles, because they are left-leaning. This came out a while ago, in November of 2023. It says, fresh revelations contradict Joe Biden's sweeping denials on Hunter. So of the many disputes that followed the leaking of Hunter Biden's laptop contents, one of the thorniest has been the case of the April 2015 dinner at Cafe Milano. Emails from the cache suggested that Hunter Biden hosted a dinner in a private room at the Tony Washington restaurant that included both his father and an executive from the Ukrainian energy company Burisma, which had appointed Hunter Biden to its board. An email from the executive dated immediately following the dinner thanked Hunter Biden for the chance to meet his father. Now, do you guys remember, and I'm talking to the younger voters, the 22, 23-year-olds, do you remember when Joe Biden came out on that stage and said he knew nothing about his son's business deals? That everything that was being said about his son and China and getting money from China was a lie, and in fact, it was all Donald Trump that was getting money from China. Well, now we know that's a lie. And I know this may seem redundant, but I think it's important that the younger voters know and understand that Joe Biden is a corrupt president. It does the American people no good to put somebody that is too old and too senile to run this country. But it definitely doesn't help that he's corrupt as well. He is the worst of the worst. And I can't stress this enough. He's not a good guy. He's not some grandpa lunch bucket Joe from Scranton, Pennsylvania that's, going to help you change your flat tire. He is not a good guy. His family are not good people. And the only reason why we know any of this is because his idiot kid, Hunter, left a laptop in a computer repair shop that had all these emails in it. If not for that laptop being left in that repair store, we wouldn't know any of this. And if not for the GOP getting elected in 2022 to the House, we wouldn't know any of this. These people are trying to bury this as deep as they can and never let it see the light of day. That's what they were trying to do, and they got caught. And the Bidens have had every single government institution trying to cover up their tracks with them. And this is what is so bad. It's not just the corruption, it is the cover-up when you dig into this stuff. But I won't bore you with that yet. I won't bore you with that right now because it's not really relevant to what I'm trying to show you. So as the media litigated the controversy, the White House insisted in increasingly forceful terms that no meeting between Biden and the executive had occurred. And so what they're saying is Joe Biden lied, said he never met with his son's business partners and Burisma. He never met with any of these people. So, and this email is contradicting that because in the email to Hunter Biden, it says, thanks for letting me meet with your father. That's what it said. It says, the email thanked Hunter Biden for the chance to meet his father. And so that is a lie. So that means Joe Biden was meeting with these corrupt people from this Burisma energy company. That was under investigation, by the way, which Joe Biden fired the prosecutor that was investigating the company Burisma and was threatening to withhold aid if they didn't fire the prosecutor. Doesn't that sound familiar? Because that's exactly what they impeached Donald Trump for. The Ukraine phone call. That's right. That is right. So in October of 2021, a year after the dinner became a matter of national controversy, a Politico article mentioning it prompted an email response from a White House spokesperson reiterating and extending denials that Biden had met with the Ukrainian executive Vadym Pozharsky. While some statements from Biden representatives could be construed as only ruling out that a formal meeting took place between Biden and the executive, the White House maintained its denial was more sweeping. Quote, does this rule out any informal encounter with Pozharsky in April 2015, ? Politico asked. And the White House responded with, yes, that's it. And so these emails come out saying that, thanks for letting me meet your father. Politico asked the White House, hey, is this true? Does this mean that Joe Biden lied? Because it certainly looks like it. And then the White House's response back to Politico is, it's not true. So then, this July, a former Hunter Biden business partner who was present at the dinner testified before the House Oversight Committee under penalty of perjury. Devin Archer said that the Ukrainian executive did dine with Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and several others at Cafe Milano in April 2015. Asked to reconcile this discrepancy, the White House did not address the question of whether Biden and the executive met at the dinner. Instead, a second spokesperson responded with, quote, "As we have said many times before, the president was not in business with the son or anyone else in the family, and House Republicans' own witnesses, including Devin Archer, have testified that the president never discussed business with his son." The explicit White House denial of even an informal encounter was not the only time that statements made by Biden and his camp about Hunter Biden's dealings have been contradicted by others. So it's a bunch of lies. So Joe Biden lies, and the White House spokespeople swear to it. Joe Biden and his representatives have repeatedly defended him from criticism related to his relatives, his son in particular, by issuing blanket denials of misconduct and disclaiming contact with their business affairs. But in recent months, as congressional Republicans have opened an impeachment inquiry and controversies related to Hunter Biden continue to be litigated in the courts and in the public square, a steady trickle of revelations have contradicted the president's denial. A Politico review of recent congressional testimony and exhibits, along with court filings and media reports, casts doubt on several statements made by Biden and his representatives. They include the president's claim that he has never discussed his relative's business dealings with anyone, and his suggestion that the appearance of emails apparently belonging to his son was just the result of a Russian plot, as well as Biden's denials that his son made money from China and that his relatives have profited off the Biden name. Republicans, meanwhile, have turned up no proof of the claims of Biden's most zealous detractors, that he took official actions on account of his relatives' business dealings. And as for the Cafe Milano dinner, there is no indication that Joe Biden discussed business or offered favors to the energy executive that night. But here's the thing. This is what they're trying to do. Joe Biden and everybody in the anti-Trump camp are trying to bend and twist. They're trying to argue semantics with Joe Biden and his corruption in these business deals. The point is Joe Biden lied to the American people on that stage in the debates and said that he's never discussed business with any of his son's business dealings, with any of his son's businesses or business partners, and that was a lie. When he said that, he wasn't sitting there saying, "Oh, yeah, I had dinner with them, but we never discussed business." No, Joe Biden has come out and said a broad statement, like, "I have never met with my son's business." He pretty much indicated and wanted to send the message that Joe Biden had nothing to do with any of the businesses. He doesn't know what they're talking about. He didn't know anything. But every few weeks, we get a drip of all the evidence. But Joe Biden did have dinner with the executive from Burisma. And how do we know this? Because the former business partners, Devin Archer, testified under oath that he did meet with business partners. And so Joe Biden lied. And if he's lying about that, he's lying about everything else. You can't trust the guy. The guy is corrupt. I remember specifically in an audio tape or in a FBI 302 where the owner or executive of Burisma said that it'll be 10 years before they uncover this corruption. And they're probably right, because this stuff is so intricate. You don't have 20 or 30 LLCs to launder money for no reason. The question that I ask the most, and this is the $65 million question: what goods and services did the Bidens provide to earn millions of dollars from foreign countries? That's it. If we can't get an answer to that, then it's obvious that this was corruption, that Joe Biden was meeting with business executives, Joe Biden was meeting with people from Burisma, and then you have video proof of Joe Biden leveraging aid to Ukraine, unless the prosecutor that was investigating this corrupt company called Burisma was fired. And so this is what I want the younger voters to see. They want to argue semantics. They want to try and dilute the truth. They want to try and dilute things by saying, "Oh, well, technically, he was there, but we don't know what he discussed." They are expecting a videotape with Joe Biden collecting a bag of money from foreign entities. That video probably doesn't exist. Who knows? Maybe it does, but it probably doesn't. But the thing is they always give Joe Biden the benefit of the doubt. And here on the other side, you have a guy that's never been in politics, the first true outsider this country's ever had. And while he was in office, this country was running like a top. This country was in the best shape it has seen in decades. People were saving money. They were buying homes. They were buying cars. People were living good. There was peace breaking out all across the world, and especially in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords. So this is what I want to stress to you. You have to put these things in contrast. You have to put these things in their rightful places. What do you think is more likely? That Joe Biden is a corrupt politician and the media apparatus is trying to protect him, or Donald Trump, somebody that's never been in politics, that showed the American people that it can be done, that you can have good policy, you can have policies that look out for everybody, not just based off of your race or ethnicity or creed, but everybody was benefiting under a Trump presidency. And most of all, what I like the most is peace. I don't like war. And for the first time in my life, we had a president that didn't start any new wars under his watch. There was actually peace breaking out. That's it, folks. I mean, that is the compare and contrast. Donald Trump was a good president. Is he perfect? No. Is he a flawed man? Yes, just like the rest of us. He is a sinner. Yes, just like the rest of us. And that's what makes him so special, is he is like the rest of us. They want to try and convince you that Joe Biden is the next coming pope. They want to convince you that Joe Biden is just good old lunch bucket Scranton Joe from Delaware. It is nonsense. You know it, and I know it. You know deep down inside that our only choice right now is Donald Trump. And after Donald Trump, after this 4 years, we'll go from there. I can tell you right now, I'll never vote for a Democrat again. But we'll go from there. But as of right now, Donald Trump is our best choice. He's all we got, man. You may not like him. You may think he's annoying. But you have to admit, on paper, when you compare the records, he was a better president. And in the end, isn't that what we're voting for? Aren't we just voting for the guy that is going to improve all of our situations, not just the corporate elites, but everybody? Isn't that the goal, is to improve our conditions here in this country and around the world? And if that is the goal, then why wouldn't you vote for Donald Trump? If on paper he did improve this country and there was peace and prosperity happening. The only reason why you wouldn't is if somebody was whispering in your ear, trying to lie to you, to try and convince you that what you've been experiencing the last 3.5 years is normal. This is not normal. I promise you. Voting for this again, okay, in the hopes that maybe it's going to change. It is not going to change. It is going to get worse. I tried warning people in 2020, and I'm trying to warn them again. This situation is not going to change. It's going to get worse. Why? Because they're not doing anything to fix it. They are not prioritizing the interest of the people. We don't know who the hell is running this country. But whoever it is, they can give a flying rip about us. That is clear and obvious. These people are in it for themselves, man. And just like I said in the beginning, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I'm going to pick the guy that both sides hate. And you could say that's RFK Jr. But I think RFK Jr., he's a little sketchy, man. Republicans need to keep an eye out on RFK because this guy, he's coming in and he's coming in hot. And he's going to start soaking up all these votes. Granted, I think he's going to soak more from Joe Biden. But I am deeply concerned for the younger voters. I really am. I feel for you. I was 22, 23 before too. I'm 37 now. So I remember what it was like. I was concerned. I had 2 kids at that point. I had my first kid at 21 years old. And so I get it. And I'm telling you right now, anybody that would vote to continue this disaster isn't paying attention or is listening too much to Rachel Maddow and Joe Biden because they're lying to you. Nobody can look at their situation right now and be like, yeah, this is great. I want to vote for another 4 years of this. When you know the other guy has done it before and is perfectly capable of doing it again. And besides, if you're worried about corruption, are we to believe that Donald Trump is the only person to have broken the law? The only politician to have lied? That's what they're asking us to do. They're asking us to believe that Donald Trump broke the law and he's going to be held accountable. So it's like, okay, wait a minute, but they've all broken the law before. We know that our politicians, all of them are corrupt. Barack Obama drone striked innocent Americans overseas. Is he being charged with the crime? No. Joe Biden willfully retained classified documents in 6 different locations, disclosed classified documents with an unauthorized source, his ghostwriter, who also got let off the hook and wasn't prosecuted. He broke the law, folks. That is what the Robert Hur report exposed. In the report, it says Joe Biden willfully retained classified documents he was not supposed to have. But he's not being charged, not because he didn't do it, but because he doesn't believe he'll be able to get a conviction because he's too old and suffers from memory loss. So in other words, he's afraid Joe Biden would get on the stand and just mumble and bumble around and the jury would feel sorry for him. So in other words, he would just be Joe Biden up there on the stage, up there on the stand. But Joe Biden's not being prosecuted because he's too old, not because he didn't do it. And so right there you have Joe Biden, a corrupt president, broke the law, violated the Espionage Act. And that is just one case. And then, people on the left want to sit there and say that, yeah, but, as soon as they found out, they turned him right over. That's not true. If you read the report, which I doubt any Democrat has, I doubt anybody on the left has, when you read the report, when he was speaking with this ghostwriter, in one of the audio recordings, Joe Biden said, hang on, I'm going to go get them, meaning the classified documents. And he said, they don't know I have these. And so what does that tell you? That means Joe Biden willfully, which means he knew he had them and he wasn't supposed to, willfully retained classified documents. That's it. That is a violation of the law. And so why is it that Joe Biden's not being charged but Donald Trump is? Exactly. Because this is a two-tier justice system that they've created in the name of stopping Donald Trump. And you have to ask yourself, if they are willing to destroy all of this, if they're willing to destroy the justice system, if they're willing to destroy our intel agencies and our FBI in order to stop one man, that really makes you think, why are they such afraid of Donald Trump? How could they be so afraid of somebody that gave us the best economy we've seen in decades, that created peace around the world, that created prosperity here in America? Why would they be so afraid? Why would they be so desperate to stop this man? Well, because he's an outsider. The exact reason why they want to stop him is exactly why we should elect him. And that's how I feel about it. But Frank Luntz, thank you, man, for doing this poll. I think it's really important that we reach out to the younger voters because they are in a unique position to where they were just turning the age to vote when in the 2020 election. So most likely a lot of their first time voting, a lot of these people's first time voting was in the 2020 election, Donald Trump or Joe Biden. And they didn't really have a chance to see Donald Trump's administration because they were under 18. But now these people want to buy homes. They want to have families. I think they do anyways. I see this in the poll numbers. You see, this is what the younger generation is wanting. And I can't stress enough that if you want these things, you must not continue what we're going through right now. That is it. That I'm not telling you to vote for Donald Trump, even though that's the only choice you have left. But what I'm telling you is you cannot continue the path that we are on. It is an unsustainable situation. That's it. People under 30 years old will own nothing at this point. You might as well hang it up. You'll never own a house. You'll never own a car. You'll never own land. You'll never own anything. And they're going to force you to be happy and to accept it. This is not the American dream. This is not the America I grew up with. And I'm trying to urge you that it does get better. There are easier days on the horizon, but we just have to be willing to make the change. And sometimes that means going against the grain, whether that means going against CNN and MSNBC. And you have to ask yourself the question, too. Why the hell would we listen to somebody that is a multimillionaire living in a high-rise condominium in Boca Raton anyways? Like, what the hell difference does it make who wins to them? Like, they don't care. Did they suffer during the Biden administration? No. So they paid a little bit more for groceries and gas. Who cares? They probably don't even pump their own gas, and they probably don't even buy their own groceries. So why is it that we should listen to what these people have to say? They're so detached from us, it doesn't even matter. And how are they affected if Donald Trump is president? It doesn't. Granted, yeah, they probably pay less in taxes. Groceries are cheaper, gas is cheaper, but for the most part, they're exactly in the same position as they were during the Biden administration. But the people that suffer is us. And so why the hell would we listen to Joe and Mika or Rachel Maddow or Joy Reid? All these people are multimillionaires. It doesn't make sense to listen to celebrities and multi-million-dollar news anchors. It just doesn't. Who our president is does not affect these people whatsoever. The economy does not affect these people whatsoever. So why the hell would we listen to him? We have to listen to our hearts. We have to listen to what we know is right. What we're experiencing right now is not normal. Okay, boys competing in women's sports, the destruction of Title IX, all this stuff. I think it's time we have to talk about abortion as well. My GOP conservative content creators, and I know Charlie Kirk's doing a good job over there at Turning Point, trying to get to the bottom of this. It's not an easy solution. It's not an easy topic. It's a very gray area. It's not a binary solution. Okay, it's not, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's a very, very gray area. And it's very emotional for people on both sides. I get it. I used to be on both sides of the argument. But now I find myself in the middle. I do. I find myself in the middle in a compromising medium. And I think the best thing that we could have done was give the power back to the states, and so that the people in those states can make their own. They can be in charge of their state's own destiny. It's a lot easier to change the law in a state than it is the federal government. I don't think the federal government belongs regulating abortion. I just don't. And so I think what happened is exactly what should have happened. Now the abortion is up to the states now. That's it. And if the majority of the people in that state want abortion, then that's their state. It's certainly going to be a lot easier creating laws around abortion in a state than it is the federal government. So, I think it's in a good spot. Now, the Republicans and people on the right, conservatives, need to play it careful. You can't go scorched earth on this stuff. You got to find a happy medium, and that's it. Then that's how I feel about it. I don't want full abortion bans, and I don't want late-term abortions either. I do see the baby as a baby. I don't see it as some goo, like a pimple. No, I see it as a living human being, and I believe there should be a time limit. But that's it. Every situation, there's nuances to it. It's not so binary. And I think we need to stop treating it as binary. I think abortion is something we can agree on eventually. But we have to have the conversation. And most of all, just like a healthy marriage, and really any healthy relationship, you got to have compromise. That's it. The left needs to compromise and the right needs to compromise. And that's what Frank Luntz was talking about when he said that both sides are just trying to rule over the other. The biggest reason why I like Donald Trump, and I'm voting for him again, is that I feel like he is going to give power back to the people. And that's exactly where the power belongs. The problem with Joe Biden and his administration is they feel like power belongs to the government, and it doesn't. And this is the problem that we're in. You have completely two different polar opposites. You have completely two different directions that we can go in. You go in one direction, you're going to get some more regulations, higher taxes. You're going to get more of the insanity that we've had the last 3.5 years. If you go the other direction, you're going to get what you got in 2016, 2017, and 2018, and 2019. That's it. I don't really count 2020 because of the pandemic. Okay, we can't blame Donald Trump for the pandemic, all right? The guy wasn't in a lab creating the virus so that he can infect the world with it. But he certainly put the blame where it belonged, and that was China, which is more than we can say about the Biden administration. They punished us. And in fact, that's exactly what I want to talk about on the next episode. I want people to never forget and never forgive what this administration, the Democrats, the Biden administration did to the American people during the pandemic. We should never allow this to slide. And I feel like people are starting to forget. And we can't have that. These people must pay the price politically for what they did to this country during the pandemic. The mandates, all the egregious behavior we've seen, the complete COVID tyranny that we've seen during the pandemic. They need to pay the price for this. And they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to remind people what we went through. We went through hell, ladies and gentlemen, with this pandemic, with the masks, the forcing of the shots, losing our jobs if we don't take a vaccine. All this stuff, the stress, the getting arrested for going paddleboarding, like the complete tyranny that took over this country during the pandemic. They need to pay the price for. That wasn't Donald Trump. That was Joe Biden. And so I think that's what we're going to talk about. In fact, I'm going to actually switch things up a little bit on the next show. I'm going to have my wife, Carla, sitting in with us, and she's kind of just going to be on the sideline. She's going to be like the producer of the show, and she's just going to help me out, and we'll probably carry on some conversations every now and then. And I think we're just going to kind of tag team some of these episodes when she's available, because trust me, if you think I get passionate about stuff, you ain't seen nothing yet. When it comes to COVID and the COVID tyranny, she is wild. So I want to get her on and kind of she's going to help me produce the show, and because I really do need the help. I can't. It's hard for me to do all this by myself. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of show prep. It's a lot. It takes up a lot of my time. So, and being how I work for a living, I'm going to bring her on. She's going to come on and she's going to help. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I think we're gonna have some good times, folks. We're going to have some good times. So we got a lot to talk about, and I want to get into all of it on the next show. I just was watching this video, and I said, I have to let my audience listen to this. It is very shocking, and I totally see why the younger voter, and if you're listening and you're 21, 22, 23, trust me, I know exactly how you feel. We all do. We're all in the same boat here, folks. It all depends on who's at the helm here. It all depends who's steering this bad boy. And that's it. But listen, if it goes down, we all go down. The only people that'll be making it to the life rafts are the rich corporate elitists, the people running this country right now. The exact same people that are trying to destroy Donald Trump. But I promise you, there are greener pastures on the other side. But we cannot allow this, what we've been going through the last 3.5 years, to continue. It is an unsustainable situation, and I'm afraid another 4 years and there won't be any going back. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for tuning in. If you want to support the show, please download the show. You can find the show anywhere podcasts are found. Just type in my name, Steven Tauriello, Tauriello. And also you can follow the show on Rumble, the last bastion for free speech. And if you want to get a hold of me directly, and for, again, kind of how the show was kind of dedicated to the younger voter, to my younger listeners out there, if you want to get a hold of me directly, you want to ask me questions, ask me anything. And I really do mean anything. If you got any questions on, I went to college, I owe student loans right now. Trust me, we're all going through the same stuff. And so if you want to reach out to me for any reason at all, get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me, StevenTaurielloShow@gmail.com. I read all my emails. I read all your guys' stuff, and I always respond. And I will make sure that I have that line of communication out for you guys if you want to get a hold of me. So if you want to get a hold of me directly, get a hold of me at StevenTaurielloShow@gmail.com. And I will talk to you guys here in a little bit. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.